Ancient symbols carved into mountains, a shipwreck stranded beside one of the last uncontacted tribes on Earth. Google Maps has captured giant faces, mysterious craters, and a mysterious formation in the deserts of Egypt. These are more places on Google Maps scientists can't explain. If you look at the coral reef around North Sentinel Island on Google Maps, you'll see the rusting remains of this huge cargo ship stuck on the rocks. The island is home to the Sentinelese, an uncontacted tribe that shoots arrows at anyone who comes near. We've talked about this plenty of times. Because of the tribe's reputation, rumors started online that the crew of whatever that ship was killed after drifting onto the reef. The true story is not far off. The ship is a cargo vessel, or was a cargo vessel, called the MV Primrose, which hit the reef during a bad storm in 1981. The crew was stuck there for days. On one of the days, the captain looked through his binoculars and he saw dozens of tribesmen on the beach building wooden rafts to board the ship. The crew ended up having to fight them off with flare guns and axes until an Indian helicopter crew flew in and saved them a week later. The ship was abandoned because it's just too dangerous for anyone to go back and salvage it, but it came to good use. The islanders eventually salvaged some of the metal from the ship to make arrowheads. Now someone needs to make a movie of that story. If you roll across the hills of Alberta, Canada on Google Maps, you'll eventually hit a spot that looks like a massive human face carved into the earth. It looks like an indigenous person in a full headdress looking out to the west, but the part that threw everyone off when it went viral is that it also looks like the person is wearing a pair of modern plug-in headphones. Plug-in, so not modern by internet standards, but modern in the grand scheme of things. The main theory was that some ancient advanced civilization built it as a monument, and that the headphones were proof they were far ahead of their time in terms of technology. Others went the alien route, saying it was a landmark made to be seen from space, while geologists looked at it and said the formation is actually natural, that the face was caused by erosion. Seems very hard to believe. I mean, the face is just so uncanny, and it's even crazier that what looks like the wire is a dirt road made by an oil company. Earpiece is a single oil well sitting exactly where the ear would be. Seems way too perfect to be a mere coincidence. In 2022, this satellite image of Antarctica caught some attention. Carved into the side of a mountain in one of the most remote places on the planet was what appeared to be a doorway. This clean rectangular opening that looked almost too perfect to be a natural formation. Scientists were quick to say it was probably just that though, a natural formation, erosion, something the ice and rock had produced over thousands of years. And maybe they're right, but the image has a way of making that explanation feel a little unsatisfying, to some anyway. So once you see it, your brain just keeps asking questions. Who carved it? When? Why there? Theories range from secret military installations to ancient ruins. Some people have gone the Atlantis route, saying it could be evidence of some long-lost civilization wiped out long before recorded history. As far as anyone knows, there's been no expedition to go and actually look at it up close. So who knows? Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's weirder than it was made out to be. There's a lake in India that sits inside a massive crater created by a meteorite crash 50,000 years ago. It's usually just a basic greenish color. Usually? Yeah, it's usually green. In June 2020, people tracking satellite images noticed that the entire lake suddenly turned bright pink overnight. Now, because this happened just a month after news hit about invasive venomous hornets arriving in the US, amongst other things like, I don't know, a little global pandemic. 2020 was quite the year. Well, people started posting that this was yet another bad omen. Some even said a sign of the end times. Another theory was that a small toxic asteroid must have crashed into the water in the middle of the night and leaked space chemicals into the lake. NASA and a group of Indian scientists tested the water to see what was going on. They found out the region had a severe drought and intense heat, which made a lot of the water evaporate. This caused the water levels to drop and these salt levels to spike. So that warm, super salty water caused a massive population explosion of a microbe called Heliorchia. Let's just put that in text right here. They're tiny organisms that produce a red pigment to absorb sunlight. Billions of them multiplying at the same time, which dyed the whole lake pink. Once the monsoon rains came back, the lake went right back to its normal color. Back to Antarctica though. A YouTuber going by Wow for Real was exploring Google Earth when he came across something in the water off Deception Island near Antarctica. He spotted this massive disturbance in the water. The visible portion of the water was measured around 100 feet long, and that's just the bit above the surface. The person who posted the video wrote, "No idea what this is. When I saw it, immediately made me think of a plesiosaur fin." The plesiosaur, for context, is a prehistoric marine reptile, been extinct for tens of millions of years, or so we're told. Most of the theories floating around online have landed on the Kraken as well, the legendary sea monster said to drag entire ships beneath the waves. Others have gone in the opposite direction entirely, saying it's just a really big rock. But what do you think? Most of us know about the regular Nazca lines, but if you look a few miles north to the Palpa region, there are some very strange carvings too. The tops of the mountains here look like they've been completely leveled off, and they're covered in grids, long lines, and a giant figure that looks like an astronaut waving up at the sky. Those who are into ancient alien theories have used this specific spot for years to back up some of their claims. They argued the flat mountaintops were used as landing strips for spaceships, and that the waving figure was a drawing made by ancient people to welcome extraterrestrial visitors. Hard to confirm or 100% deny that, but what we do know is that archaeologists dug into the dirt and found out these lines were made by the Paracas culture, who lived here way before the Nazca people. They didn't use machines to flatten the mountains, they just manually scraped away the dark rocks on the surface to show the lighter clay underneath. The main theory is that the lines were used as paths for religious walks to pray for rain in the desert. Part scientists still aren't sure of, though, is how they managed to make such perfectly straight geometric lines across miles of this rough terrain without any way to check their work from the air. If you follow the coast of the Caspian Sea near Dagestan on Google Maps, you'll spot a huge white silhouette in the sand. When it was first spotted, it was still in the water and people had no idea what it was. There were articles at the time saying it could be some massive creature. Cryptozoologists looked to the satellite images as proof that a prehistoric sea serpent or a living megalodon was swimming around in the sea. Pretty exciting stuff, but the truth is, it was a piece of abandoned Cold War military technology. What the satellite caught is called the Lun-class Akranoplan, a classified Soviet experimental aircraft from the 80s, and that's still pretty cool. Even cooler, it didn't fly high up in the sky. Instead, it used this cushion of air between its wings and the water to glide like 13 feet above the water. The whole point was to fly too low for enemy radar to spot it. After the Soviet Union fell, it was left to rust at a naval base. The satellite image caught it while it was still being towed through the water to a beach where it's now parked as a museum piece. Up in the mountains of Bolivia, there's a shallow salt lake called Laguna Colorada that looks like a massive pool of bright red BLOOD on Google Maps. To make it even weirder, there are large, bright white islands of minerals scattered all over the red water. Because the lake is right next to active volcanoes, people online started speculating that the water was full of volcanic sulfur. The bright red color made it look like nothing could survive there. Actually, completely natural though. Water has a super high salt content, which creates the perfect environment for a specific type of red algae and microscopic sediment to grow. The tiny organisms produce this red pigment to protect themselves from the sunlight. The lake is actually the main feeding spot for thousands of rare flamingos too. Flamingos are actually born white and gray. They only turn pink because they spend their whole lives eating the red algae out of lakes like this. And over in eastern Siberia, there's a hole in the ground so massive it completely dwarfs the entire city built right next to it. It's this giant chasm that goes 1,700 feet straight down into the dirt and stretches nearly a mile wide. Because of its massive spiral shape and the remote location, internet theories claim that it was everything from a hollow earth entrance, an ancient portal, or the result of some secret Soviet nuclear test. People also pointed out that the airspace above the hole was completely restricted, so that led to rumors of a government cover-up. The hole comes from an old diamond mine dug out during the Cold War. What's really cool though is how the hole interacts with the air. The pit is so deep that it completely changes the air pressure around it. The temperature difference between the freezing Siberian air at the top and then the warmer air trapped inside the hole, it creates this powerful downward airflow. The airspace had to be closed because it acts like a giant vacuum. It was literally sucking helicopters out of the sky, crashing them into the bottom of the pit. Yes, there were apparently a few incidents of that actually happening. That is horrifying. If you track across the desert near the Red Sea in Egypt, you'll hit a massive geometric pattern in the sand. It's a giant spiral that covers about 1 million square feet. One part of the spiral is made of perfectly shaped mounds of sand, the other is made of matching pits dug into the ground. Right in the dead center is this huge circular pool of water that looks completely artificial. When the pattern first showed up on Google Maps, the internet immediately started pumping out theories. A lot of people claimed it was an ancient crop circle or a landing pad for an alien spacecraft. Others said an ancient religious calendar built by some undocumented pharaoh, or that the military had dug it out to test a secret underground radar frequency. The structure is actually this massive piece of art. It was completed in 1997. A team of 3 Greek artists spent 2 entire years out in the desert moving hundreds of thousands of cubic feet of sand to build the spirals. Built it using sand so it could slowly track the passage of time. How though? Well, over the years, wind and erosion have slowly worn down the mounds and filled in the pits, so it is slowly disappearing, but even today, it's still clearly visible from space. That has been the video. I will catch you, yes, you specifically, in the